G'day, folks. It is the coach, but more importantly, a special guest out of the newsroom onto your screens. It is Jono, the editor, the chief CEO. CEO is chief of the Azir Weekly, the greatest news of all the mortal realms. Forget Warhammer Community. I have Jono here, and we are ready to talk about Adepticon.
Absolutely, we are. It's the day we've all been waiting for.
So before we do an intro and we'll talk a little bit. So we've currently got about 20 odd minutes before the live stream happens. So just for anyone who has never done this with me in the past, we will have the Games Workshop live stream happening simultaneously. So we will follow along. The reveals kind of happen every 10 to 15 minutes approximately. So the format is show off a thing, talk about the thing. When they start talking about the thing, Warhammer Community has an article up. And normally it's just like them jibber-jabbing about things. So we can talk, you can use the comment section, we'll bring up comments. Like, it's great to see so many people here, like Carlos, we've got grandson of Behemoth. We've got so many people here in the chat, and I'll acknowledge you in a minute. But that's how this will work. So you're not going to lose and miss the Warhammer Community previews. We will talk about it. We'll share any of our insights. Anything that I'm not under disclosure with, we can talk about, or at least I can deflect to Jono, and Jono can tell us what it's all about.
Great. No, good. No, that sounds like a plan.
But g'day to, we got Michael here. We've got Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan. Nice to see you. Elias, Christopher, so many great people. We got a corn wizard, different type of corn. I hope you're excited about your new battle tome. There's just so many cool people here, but we do have 20 minutes to share. So we will talk shop. We'll share what's going on in our world, maybe make some predictions. But if you've got any questions for us as well, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we will appreciate your interaction while we try to fill in 15 to 20 minutes before the stream kicks off, assuming they're on time. But for anyone who doesn't know the Azir Weekly, who are you? Tell the internet.
Sure. So the Azir Weekly is primarily a blog where once a week an article will go up in the style of, say, The Onion or websites like that, where the idea is it's a newspaper article released in the mortal realms from their perspective, sort of satirizing or making fun of a certain aspect of the Age of Sigmar setting, or goings on in the community, trying to put it in the context of the mortal realms. I do that once a week, and there's also a Twitter account where if I think of something funny or snappy, I'll tweet that out as well.
Yeah, I just pulled up your website. So
yeah, it is.
Corn Institution controversially blood offering guideline.
Yeah.
Rival / worshippers caught in infinite temptation loop. An absolute cracking text behind it. Nagash demands Necromancer Day in wake of Women's Day. This is hot. This is so funny.
Thank you.
I follow you on Twitter. I follow you on Facebook. It comes out of nowhere, and you have some absolute cracking stories. So highly, actually, I might even keep it up for a little bit longer.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite story you've published lately?
I mean, lately, it's a good question. I often forget lately and which ones were amongst the very front. I mean, I was quite pleased with Rival / Worshippers caught in infinite temptation loop. It's always good to try to get in on the new releases as they happen when people are interested in them, and have been hearing a little bit about that temptation dice.
This one got me good with Necromancer Day. I'm like, this is definitely a Nagash thing. He would definitely demand a Necromancer Day, but you've got some really good sass, and it's very topical and very fast as well. So when things are hot off the press, you're always onto it. So again, go check out the Azir Weekly. Subscribe on Twitter, subscribe on Facebook. It's a nice little laugh, actually. A really nice laugh.
Thank you.
You got a lot of fans in the chat, man. Love the Azir Weekly. Love the Azir Weekly.
Yeah.
You're absolute celebrity in the community.
No, thank you to the Dutch fans. Thank you to the miscellaneous fan, wherever you are, Roland. Thank you.
Have you written a code right one yet, or is this coming up?
No, I did a tweet about it. No, they're talking about the Warhammer community. The write-in with a legal question article that the Warhammer community did, which I did enjoy. There was a joke in there which I'd already done some years ago, but there is nothing new under the sun. Puerto Rican, great.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy the reason I started the Azir Weekly was when they were doing the regimental standard in Warhammer community, from the 40k. Why doesn't AOS get one of these? So I always enjoy when they do stuff for Age of Sigmar on the Warhammer community blog. I know a writer for Warhammer community, and I'll message him saying, "Oh, that's really funny." Unfortunately, those sorts of articles aren't as popular as the rules previews, so they don't do so many of them. But I love it whenever they do get the opportunity to have a bit of fun with Age of Sigmar.
Maybe they'll give you an acquisition offer soon. You can join the maybe you'll offer them an acquisition offer. They can come under the Azir Weekly banner.
Oh, every so often I tweet at them and threaten them or challenge them to an article off. They've yet to respond, but one day I have my hopes.
I'll see what we can do. Maybe I'll go to Warhammer Fest and I'll put up a contract to them. I'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, write up a big wad of paper.
So let's talk Adepticon for a minute, because I'm sure people who just joined the stream, because it was advertised at 1:45 for coming going Azir Weekly, Adepticon, basically the same thing. It's about news about Age of Sigmar, and we have clearly summoned AOS Shorts as well. So clearly the man of the news as well, someone who's on the pulse. But Adepticon is something that I went to a few years ago. So I had the pleasure of going to Adepticon in 2019. Got to be in the room to see the reveals. And it's always fascinating because Adepticon is this LVO, which happened in January, is like kick off the new calendar year, which is awesome. But this, and like normally with the previews, you usually see things that are coming up in the next 3 months. They don't like to share too many things that are happening much further than 3 months. Between now and June is the end of the financial year. So either they're going to be closing out the year with the profits, or they want to kick off their new financial year in June. Absolutely baller. So maybe I'll ask you and ask the chat, what are you expecting? What do you think they're going to preview? We do know, just to wet the whistle, we do know that there is going to be 40k, Sigmar, Heresy, Kill Team, and Underworlds. So no Old World, no Blood Bowl, no other games, no Gorka Morkas being brought back to life.
Yeah, it's another year of waiting.
So what's your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are we going to see?
Well, I mean, the easy money is on 10th edition 40k. It's the 40th year of Warhammer. They've been making those videos, putting those on YouTube with the old models and the retrospectives. It's been the 3 years since the last edition. They've done all the codices. It's ready and it's time. They've been doing the Arcs of Omen campaign supplement. And so it'll be interesting to see how much insight we get. I think we can quite happily say there will be something for 10th edition, but what will we see? Will we actually see the new box with all the stuff, the Indomitus sequel? Will we see a single Marine? Will we just see some cover art? The world's our oyster, really, for the next 20 minutes about what we might see. We just know that it's probably Space Marines and Tyranids.
Yeah, and first off, thank you so much, Jericho, for becoming a YouTube member. Much appreciated. I can tell my wife we can eat today. Much appreciated. But in all seriousness, I think if anyone's followed my channel, I assume you're a subscriber. If you haven't, almost at 20,000, hit the subscribe button. But in the last 3 months alone, I've done 5 battle tomes. And we know now that there's a couple left. We've got 2 death books coming. We have Seraphon coming. We have this Dawnbringers / Cities of Sigmar coming. And then there is the last death battle tome. So we still know Fex, Soulblight, and Ossiarch are the 3 outstanding death books. Nighthorn is the only one that's gotten a 3rd edition treatment, unless they revisit. So obviously, you know, Stormcast, maybe they want to go back to Cruel Boys. Maybe they went, oops, we nerfed Suns a bit too hard. Let's go back and actually not nerf them like we did. Maybe it's been enough time since Lumineth. They needed a book. Maybe it's time for like Lumineth Temple 4.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you want to be optimistic, and you want to say the battle tomes that are remaining are the battle tomes that are remaining. But you always do run a risk of, you know, the mid-season Daughters of Cain, you know, Lumineth revival, which would be disappointing. But we haven't seen any of them yet for 3rd edition. And we're near the end, so the chances are hopefully low, and hopefully we can keep getting out the brand new battle tomes so that we're able to have what you could call a complete edition. Everyone's got their 3rd edition book, everyone's got their bits and bobs, their modern sub-factions, and we can all play the game on the same field for a good couple of months.
Yeah, my Gits have absolutely loved getting 3rd edition treatment. And I think everyone's now looking, going, please get Gits, but don't nerf us like the Gits are probably going to get nerfed with their squigs. The reason I mentioned the battle tomes, by the way, I didn't finish my chain of thought, is it feels like they're smashing us, and then we can have a little bit of a break. And then it feels like the 40K book will start hitting the field. So 10th edition, whether it's a restart, whether it's an update to the codexes, it feels like get Sigma out of the way and then launch the shiny 10th edition.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Which is a win for us in some ways. Long term, maybe not. Maybe if we see a desert of Age of Sigmar for a while 10th edition 40K gets going. I'll be interested to see if there are any new like fundamental changes with how Warhammer 40K is delivered, whether with 10th edition it's an opportunity to really lean harder into the app, start bringing back these digital codexes, which could lead on, you know, to the digital battle tomes. Because I think that's an easy win. It's an obvious win for Games Workshop. I think they're lagging behind in that department. So being able to lean in on their digital offerings, put the money into them, make them attractive, make them an easy way to actually get into the game and play the game, adding Crusade Path to Glory support into the apps, things like that. A new edition is a great point to start providing that service.
A couple of things from the chat I might call out is people asking for a new Nagash War Scroll, given we know 2 of the death books coming. So will Nagash get a glow up? Will Nagash get a ward save? How will Nagash work? I think it's like the number one thing. Like if you got a ward save Nagash, people would be happy. We did see I don't know if you saw this video. There was like a little 3-minute video with a lion. Now, I assume it means like a Stormcast with lion heads coming out soon. But G Stellar mentioning that we're getting a lion for 40K. Did you catch that video at all?
I caught the little clip on Twitter that they did. Yeah, which will presumably be Lionel Johnson, the Dark Angels Primarch. Who's been
not
doing
Lion Stormcast?
Well, I mean, it's up in the air, isn't it? Probably a coin flip.
Lion Lumineth, maybe? We've had kangaroos, we've had like battle cattle.
Absolutely. A return of the White Lions from the High Elves. You know, there are all sorts of possibilities. But if I had to be a betting man, it would be on a big man in green armor. Or black armor. I forgot what he wears.
While you have a sip of your luxurious Coca-Cola there, Mitch Hardy saying Azir Weekly doesn't pay their field reporters. Do you have anything to combat Mitch?
Look, I mean, first and foremost, we're a public service at the Azir Weekly. We're not profit driven. We've been able to claim a loss on our taxes for the 4 years that we have been running. And as soon as we do find room within the budget to pay the field reporters, to pay the whistleblowers, and everyone who's able to feed us information, we'll make sure to do that. But at the moment, we're running on the skin of our teeth. And although your efforts and contributions are deeply appreciated, they cannot be financially compensated in the near term.
Oh, that made me laugh. I'll get there's a scandal for someone else to report on.
Yeah.
Robert mentioning in the chat, by the way, we're about 8 minutes approximately, folks, from the GW stream. So again, if you're joining us late, we will have the stream up. So as they go through the videos, we'll play them uninterrupted, talk about them in between each break, and you can all add your feedback and things like that. But Robert mentioning in the chat that they've stepped back into AOS with Khorne. Gareth, aka Tomo, will be on the channel in a couple of days' time, giving us his thoughts. Number one Khorne player on both the ITC and the TSN network. So Gareth definitely knows what he's talking about. But we won't. Did you like either of the Khorne parts, mortals or demons?
I'm a demon guy for Khorne, absolutely. I mean, I've said this to my friends a bunch of times, but whenever I play Doom or listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, I always come this close to starting a Khorne demon army. I love the aesthetic. I love the brutality, the brass, the lethality of the demons. The mortals, I can sort of take or leave them. Barbarians with muscles and axes don't necessarily hit my buttons, but the demons I definitely have a lot of time for with Khorne.
I tell you what, though, if Feck is coming, and if Feck doesn't come, I hope either way, when Feck does get its update, I do hope the Mortarch Ushoran does come into the. I mean, he's not technically. Is he technically a Mortarch? He should be. Make peace, Feck and Nagash. Make friends.
Yeah. I saw Hannah's comment about that, and I agree. I would love Ushoran to come in. I think even more than him coming in as a Mortarch, I would love for him to be not a Mortarch. I think one of the interesting things with Order is the fact that they all have to work together. They're all within the Order umbrella, but most of them have got quite competing goals. And I think if you add Ushoran into the Flesh Eater courts and you have him a little bit antagonistic to Nagash, I think that could add a lot of flavor to Death instead of being Nagash's club. But yeah, either way, I think just more characters. I love the characters in Age of Sigmar: Arcan, Morathi, Kroak. I love new Catacross, new world ones, old world ones. I think the heroes, the demigods, the gods, there were a lot of where Age of Sigmar's personality comes in. So I would love to see a new Ushoran coming in hot.
Yeah, if you read any of the lore books, you do see that Manfred, for example, is always like doesn't always fall into line with Nagash. Not like Neferata is a bit more in line, but I love seeing some of the challenges. And Special K Catacross definitely is in line, but yeah, give me some more people who want to challenge, like Archaon versus Be'lakor. Like, give me that friction.
Yeah, love a bit of friction.
I dig it. What else have we got in the chat here? Lots of cool ideas. I mean, Ushoran is absolutely, people are just absolutely hoping. Eltharion, I'm seeing a few things about the lions from the High Elves. I think we all know it's 40k, but I think a few of those people are hoping for. I used to like the old white lions of wherever Trace, Chalice,
Trace, so CHRCE. Yeah,
I remember it was something like that. All right, so we've got the stream. We've got a stream still kicking off in a couple of minutes, so hang with us, folks. We know the sound works, so we'll just keep talking shop a little longer. Yeah,
well, Hannah's pointed out that the Warhammer Community website's been updated with a preview banner with a bunch of silhouettes. And she's right, there is a very Croxygorian looking figure on the far left if you take a peek.
All right, let me refresh. Let me bring it up. What do we know? Orpa Chang. So here we go. What do we got here? I assume this is our Croxygor friend, potentially.
Yeah.
Another reveal to the new Seraphon.
Yep.
What do you reckon this one is?
Yeah. I don't think you've got it up on screen yet.
Oh, I haven't got it on screen. I'm such a potato.
There we go.
I'm such a potato. Sheesh. So I'm circling going, is this one the Seraphon one? What an amateur. So we've got this one here, which we think is Seraphon, the Croxigore.
Yep.
What's this one? What do we reckon this one is?
That's a very good question. I mean, it almost looks like an elf sort of shield, right? You know, they have the curved sort of teardrop shapes. Trying to look at the... Oh, I'm not sure.
I don't want to say it, but it feels a little... Maybe the crown reminds me of Little Daughters of Cain, but it probably feels more like... Because the middle one, that looks like a Stormcast top, at least to me.
Sure.
You've got the far right. Maybe that's Heresy. That looks like a Terminator, potentially.
It does look like a Terminator, definitely.
Yeah, I think Gareth said what I think, potentially. That middle one, sorry, the middle to the left kind of feels a bit Necron-y to me. If only it was Tomb Kings, I wish they would share a bit more about the old world.
Yeah.
It's Kathy. Good to see Kathy, Vince's better half. We have a lot of fun trading chocolates and treats and different things from our countries. It's always fun. Yeah, the Halo does feel a bit Stormcasty to me, but at the same time as well, it does look a bit lumpy. So I'm just going to move this screen a little bit so we can probably keep talking a little longer because they've not started yet.
No.
But
yeah, assuming that we are going to see the Dark Angels Primarch turn up for 40k.
Yeah,
that's going to be him in the middle. I think that's an easy one.
The far right, but the one, well, I guess the middle right. I hope I'm not giving anyone like seasickness as I keep changing screens constantly. Do you reckon that's Warcry? This one?
Yeah. That or Underworlds. Because Underworlds is getting a preview.
So you got fifth one might be Votan. Okay, yeah, possibly. That feels like Terminator to me. The far right of all the ones. Go on.
I was going to say the shoulder definitely looks like it's got the Crux Terminatus.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, the far left and the far right are probably the clearest ones. What we know. The middle one feels Stormcast. So unless it's a part of the Warcry upcoming season.
You mean the dead middle one?
Yeah, the dead middle one.
Oh, that's got to be a Space Marine.
Do they have those? Do they have those things?
Yeah, Iron Halos, they're called.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It just feels so 40. That reminds me of Stormcast so much.
Yeah, I mean, there is that crossover, definitely.
Yeah, what do we got? People thinking far right might be a Zinch model. Yeah, possibly. See a power pack in the middle. Yeah, okay. Terminator. Yeah, Hades, I agree with you. The reason I said the far right was the most 40k to me was it feels like the Terminators that I grew up with between 3rd and 5th edition. That's that very clunky, even like was it Space Hulk? You got those OG kind of Terminators. That's what gave me. Maybe that's Heresy. Maybe that's a flashback to Heresy in the old. I don't follow the game, so I don't know.
Sure. No. The teasers for what we assume is the new edition of 40k have had a Terminator in them, so I feel like it would be an odd choice, but Primaris Terminators. And I'd love it if they did that because Terminators are iconic, and you hate to see them disappear. So maybe it's part of the new box. So equally, it may be Horus Heresy, where they're getting some special Heresy Terminators off that, what we understand as the generic style.
There was a rumor that those types of armors are reappearing or appearing in Horus Heresy. So, okay. Yeah, definitely could be Dawnbringers, maybe Deathwing, possibly.
Yeah, Deathwing, yeah.
Imagine that were like Cities of Sigmar dreadnoughts, like some type of like weird cogsmith mechanical. Gruntly's back. He builds some little Terminator things.
Yeah, Fearnaughts, they'll call them. Yeah,
Make sure it's still
that'll be
going.
cool.
Yeah, cool. Right, they're still going. Nothing's happened. I told you they wouldn't start on time. I told you they
No.
wouldn't start on time.
No, I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK, right? 3 o'clock?
2 o'clock, I think I saw. 2 o'clock. All right, we'll keep an eye on things. But in the meantime, people can tell us in the chat. What are you hoping for? What do you actually want?
You pointing at chat or you pointing at me?
I'm going to point at the fact that we now have a live stream. So they are live
Look at them
streaming.
go.
So that's Mike, so head of events, and Eddie Eccles, who you probably know from Warhammer Community and things like that. So they're probably going to waffle on and talk about
the world. It is run by a passionate group of volunteers and folks who just love everything that is Warhammer, and we get to see over 1,000 of them.
So they're going to waffle on for a little bit, drag along, and keep talking. What do you think they're going to reveal? Like, what are you hoping for because what do you play?
I mean, I'm Slaves of Darkness at the moment, and we've been quite lucky with releases recently, so I'm not counting on anything. I mean, we can see right there that it's 10th edition. That's going to be their big push. That's a cover out for the 40k rulebook, you know. So I imagine they're going to be spending quite a lot of time on that. I'm hoping that we see the new books, the death books that have been announced, and the models that are presumably coming with them. I'm also excited for the roadmap, just so we have that certainty of what's coming up next. Give us a bit more idea about whether we can, keep on hoping for a big model release for the Flesh Eater Courts, or whether they'll be paired up with someone else. A little bit excited about Warcry, because you often get very cool units out of Warcry, like the vampires from the last one. So it's always it's like a lucky dip, really, with Warcry. You get the chance to get a really cool unit that you can add into your army, enjoy painting, enjoy playing. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested in the new edition of 40k. I got into the hobby through 40k. I spent most of my time playing 40k up until I started Age of Sigmar. And I've always had a soft spot for Tyranids, so I am interested to see what pops out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I started in fantasy battles, but majority of my games club were 40k players, so I was reluctantly brought in to play 40k.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, I love my Space Wolves. I've still got my old Metal Sisters of Battle army. A lot of great cool things that it's an enjoyable game, but from the rumors or the leaks or maybe the speculation of what people are asking for, it sounds like 10th edition might be a bit of a reset and a bit of a cleaning up of 40k. But from a Sigmar side, I would love to see what's coming up in the second half of the year. I'd love to see more about the Dawnbringer Crusades. I know for myself personally, as a City as a Sigmar player, I have not bought anything for a good 12 months because I don't want to invest into that faction that could be completely redone, and a lot of those models could move to the old world. Or maybe it's just the humans. I don't know. So I'm really hesitant on cities at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of players. So Sigmar has been in a weird sort of limbo. Will they squat it? Won't they squat it? And I think the more certainty, the faster we get for Dawnbringers, it's going to make everyone happy, so that they know what's going on. I would
love Sisters of Sigmar, especially if anyone saw Peachy's conversions. It reminds me so much of the OG Sisters of Sigmar. I mean, there's heaps going on. They're still waffling. Come on, get to the good stuff.
Yes, and I've always wondered. I mean, presumably they do need, do a little bit of a warm up, wait for people to. Whoa!
Dark Angels, the Arcs of Omen series has led to the break. Abaddon has sent out the Arcs of Omen. Vashtor the Archifane is now at large, and Angron is on a rampage. And there's perhaps one character in the entire galaxy who could stand against Angron. That's the line.
Lionel Johnson is the Primarch of the Dark Angels, formerly the Dark Angels Legion, and now he is the returned Primarch of the Dark Angels chapter. Returning Primarchs are a big deal. The return of Rabute Gilliman, that was an era-defining moment for the inhabitants of the 41st millennium and for fans of the 41st Millennium. It doesn't happen very often, and this is the second opportunity in my lifetime, certainly, to see a living Primarch return.
He's been deep in the rock for thousands of years. All is lost to chaos. But this is where the lion appears. And this is where he makes his stand as a light in the dark, as a knight standing alone.
He grew up as a feral youth on a forested world full of monsters, and then taken in by knights after he'd spent years hunting down creatures of chaos. And that's pretty much what he's gone back to doing. He's found half of the galaxy completely subsumed by darkness, warp storms, chaotic beasts, so he's just set back to work. He is going to reunite, you'd imagine, with the Dark Angels chapter, and woe betide anybody who finds themselves on the other side of the battlefield from them.
All right. So what do we just see? So what did we just see?
Well, we saw the return of a Primarch again. Lionel Johnson. Hades in chat calling it a pretty mid-release, pretty mid-model. I've got to be honest, I love it. He's for me, compared to Rabute Gulliman, just a whole degree up. I love the pose, the walking, feels powerful. Love the little watches in the dark, the little Jawa dudes, the detail on him. A face that isn't yelling as well. I know Gulliman isn't yelling, but the more faces we don't have yelling, the better in my eyes. I think that's a really cool model. I'd be very happy to have that in my army.
Yeah, I think it's quite cool. I mean, first off, I don't play 40k, and if I did play 40k, it'd be Sisters of Battle or Space Wolves. They're the two ones that kind of draw me in the most. Although I really like the lore of the Necrons. I think it's really fascinating, interesting set of lore with the Citan or whatever it is, and the how the Necrons kind of came about. I think it's a really cool. The first thing I thought, world's most expensive conversion. I'm like, ooh, that shield would look really good on my city's general. Like,
yeah, maybe it might be a bit big, but yeah, I mean, someone's said, yeah, Michael, I would love to see the scale of him to see how much bigger he is than normal.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice model. I think there's some, again, if I was a Dark Angels fan, it's funny because I do remember some of these old kits from back in the day. Obviously, certainly not a Primarch, but I mean, it's a great model. Very detailed, very detailed. It's certainly something that you'd want to have as a centerpiece for obvious reasons.
Yeah, not a big fan of the backpack, the little tiny wings. Now that we see that, not so impressed with them. But the shoulder pad, I love the shoulder pad. I hope that his name is actually sculpted in, so you can just throw some wash in there, and it's not just freehand. That's cool.
I'm always a fan of the little familiars. I don't know what they're called, the little robed things. There's something about them.
Yeah, watches in the dark. Yeah,
reminds me of like the little cherubs from back in the fantasy days. You don't really see them as much, but I always love those little pieces that you can either not put on the model and use them elsewhere, or you go to the bit sellers and try to buy as many of those watches as possible.
Yeah, it's putting together ogre kits. That's one thing I've noticed. The Noblars that you get in the kit, who are just there just to hang out. Really cool little touch, and it just makes the unit just feel a little bit more alive. And I'm sad that we don't see so much anymore, that the kits are full of great detail, great poses, dynamic models, but they don't have as much extra stuff. So there's pluses and minuses.
I take it there is a Horus Heresy model, which is what Hades is obviously referring to, but G Stella mentioning as well. And it's always hard to compare, because this is going to be a plastic kit that's available at Games Workshop, while the Horus Heresy Primarchs were Forge World. So obviously they're a bit more fragile.
Look at that.
Resin.
Speaking of extra little bits.
We've got 4 different heads.
Oof.
Choose your Primarch head. Which one would you choose? If you're building Lion, what head are you taking?
Traditionally, I try for the helmet because painting skin is a stressful situation for most people. However, I do like the Obi-Wan look with the hood. I don't know.
Second
that's
one?
a
You
tough
thinking the
call.
second one?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You probably, yeah. What do you think?
I think I'd go the second one because it gives you the benefits of the face, but it also covers it up with the robes as well. So you don't have to go full. And I don't know, robed, hooded. I mean, the last one as well with the wings on the head is just fantastic too. And do I still think that middle silhouette is a Stormcast? No, I don't. Clearly not. I was just saying it was I've painted enough Stormcast in the last 6 months and I recognize that aesthetic, but no, clearly not. Clearly not. I think the one that I probably like the least is the third one, I think. Like if I'm going masked, I might as well go for this one. If I'm going hooded, I go this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
A little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Also, I think someone said earlier a bit Sean Connery. The face one here, the Sean Connery. I'm like, yeah, I dig that. Didn't somebody ask for a size comparison? Because here we are. We have.
Kind of wish they put them at different heights when they did this.
It's a bit weird.
Okay.
Hannah, I agree with you, Hannah. It looks like it could be converted into a Stormcast Lord Commander. Thank you, Hannah. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having my back. So the left one is that Rabute?
That's right.
And this would be a Primarch, or is that a regular Storm?
That's a just a dude. Yeah, brother guy.
Love it.
And they're brothers, so they are pretty much the same size. They're standard Primarch.
Everyday run-of-the-mill Primarch
Absolutely.
that you see around the corner.
All right, so Primarchs are about the same size, if that matters to anybody. So
he might be a little bit smaller, but it's hard to say with the pose compared. Where Gulliman's got his.
He is standing on a tactical rock.
He is standing on
He had a tactical rock.
I love a tactical rock. Though for a Primarch, probably a strategic rock. He's operating at such a higher scale.
Do you think this is the only 40k reveal? Do you reckon we're done?
Yeah, surely.
There's no 10th edition. 10th edition's on the back burner.
Yeah. Last minute call. Pull it off the shelves. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I was just thinking, like, when's the next big reveal? And it would be Warhammer Fest. So Warhammer Fest, which is end of April. So like almost 5 weeks from now. I was going to say this time next month. It's just a little further than that. I think it's like the end of April, 29th, 30th. So maybe that's the big thing when everyone's in Warhammer Fest. They're doing a live stream and maybe they do more of the 40k reveal.
Well, I've seen some suggestions in chat that we'll get the cinematic reveal trailer here and then the actual models later, which is frustrating but likely.
Yeah, very
and
possible.
You can see why they would. Yeah,
they'll do some teasers, and they still want you to buy these Arcs of Omen books that get you prepared. All right, there's a lot of 40k. I'm hitting my 40k limit, I think.
Yeah, I might take a little rest.
Yeah, I do think they'll probably announce the actual proper launch at their own event. Probably can feel the whole bunch, but there'll be certainly some teasers. Man, imagine they brought back Space Hulk. That was a sweet game. Although if I could get a chance, I would say bring back Gorka Morka.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Battlefleet Gothic man myself in terms of what I'm hoping for a re-release. I've got.
Hang on.
So I've got an old box of the Battlefleet Gothic, the old starter box, which I've painted up. Now I've played 1 or 2 games, but there's just something about spaceships. I love being able to name them, sort of, move them around the field, launch torpedoes, similar itch to Adeptus Titanicus. I think we each have, the individual Titans. I love that kind of stuff.
Hannah, Mordheim. It's interesting because like you had Speed Freaks was like the equivalent to Gorkamorka. Obviously, Warcry is meant to be the equivalent for Mordheim. Necromunda is Necromunda. Is it the what was it called? The little Aeronautica was kind of like BFG, but not. So
I think there was an Aeronautica game back in the day.
Mixed feelings about the Lion. He is the best player. Let's be honest. Come on.
All right, this is talking about Lion.
We have more to talk about.
We do. We got more.
We just talk about the Lion for the next hour, I think.
The last thing.
Look at that.
In the Arctobowman Book 5, Lion will fight Angron. So we have a situation: 2 brand new miniatures, 2 new Primarchs, both returned to the 41st millennium. They will have a showdown in Book 5 of the Arctobowman.
I'm ordering this poster. Or behind me.
If you if you are a Lion fan or an Angron fan, please let us know in the chat who you will be rooting for in that particular battle.
Can we do a poll there in the chat?
I mean, maybe.
We might be able to do a poll.
All right. Feels like they're about to do another release. What do you think they're going to show next? What's your hot take?
Hot take. I think they're going to show Underworlds. Next. Right, that's my feeling.
Let's get in position. Let's get ready.
Biggest
all right.
we've ever done.
Well, in terms of the amount of stuff.
All right.
Stuff. It will be an injustice. The same treatment.
What's the time?
So we are leaving 41st Millennium for a little bit, and we are going to jump into the mortal. Oh, it's Heresy first. So we are going to jump to the Horus Heresy. Whole video.
Let's see what we've got.
I'm Andy Hall. I work on the Horus Heresy team in the Warhammer studio. The setting for the Siege of Cthonia book is the planet of Cthonia itself, which is the homeworld of the Sons of Horus. It's actually the homeworld of Warmaster Horus. As the Warmaster's fleets were advancing on Terra, a small detachment, calling themselves the True Sons of Cthonia, decide to peel away from the fleet and retake Cthonia in the interests of the honor of their culture. So the book opens up with a really big, extensive narrative of the actual Cthonia campaign itself. Then we go into a section that sums up what all of the big factions within the Horus Heresy are doing at this point in the war. We also have some new core scenarios for the game. So if you wish to play through the events described in the narrative, you've got some special scenarios that are themed around the Siege of Cthonia. Gave people a basic way of doing Zone Mortalis games in White Dwarf when the new edition came out, and this takes that and expands it into a full system. So full Zone Mortalis scenarios and system in this book. It's also got a really interesting section on Space Marine Inductii. We've got a new type of consul, which is called a Decorian. We have the Infernus Abomination. And then the last thing in the book, there's a number of special characters and special models that you can take. There's the 2 main leaders, the 2 main special characters, Garrus, Evander for the Imperial Fists, and Baron Ashahadden for the Sons of Horus. We've got models coming out for those, rules for them in here. This is the first of the campaigns of the Age of Darkness series, and we intend to keep going with these. One really important thing to say about this book is it's designed to appeal to all Horus Heresy players. It's also telling a really important part of the overall story, and it's also giving people rules and scenarios and all the rest of it that will appeal to everybody.
So is that just a book? Did Heresy just get a book? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes, they got a campaign supplement.
Okay.
It sounds like there will be some new models released later on to go along with it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We haven't seen any new models just yet, but we know a campaign book for. I assume this is important battle. Do you play Heresy at all?
No, but I've read the books, and well, not all the books, but I've delved into it, and I probably would if I had the time and the money. Is it what you want as a Horus Heresy player? Probably you want more models more than anything. You want that move into plastic to continue and not just have new tanks. You want the characters, which is kind of what you want to be playing the game for. You want some more Legion specific stuff, but on the other hand, it's essentially a science fiction historical game, and having more history. I think if I was playing Horus Heresy, I'd be looking forward to that myself. Learning more about what people did, when, how they did it, a bit more of an insight into some parts of the legions, however they do it. But I'm disappointed.
It's kind of funny watching, because it feels like, and I know I'm craving for the old world, the upcoming Fantasy Battles version. And it's like, you can almost maybe see the seeds of like what they're doing in Heresy, and maybe what we could possibly expect for the old world. And will we be having these campaign style books, especially as it's focused on the Great War Against Chaos, which was about 300 years prior to the Fantasy Battles we knew, that timeline. So it's fascinating to see, like, is this the format? Is this the formula for the old world, given the success of Heresy? But I think I'm with Hades here on this one. It means that AOS is for the second half, so we can get the 40k stuff out of the way first. Then we'll get into the Mortal Realms. And we do know there's going to be Warcry, and we know there's going to be Sigma.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love more of this for Age of Sigma. We got Thondia, the Season of War book, which I loved. Fleshing out Gur a little bit. I've played some of the missions as well, played around a bit. It's stuff that you don't need to play. I mean, the Incarnate notwithstanding, but extra stuff to help flesh out the game, flesh out the system, and just give you more toys, even if they're not literal toys to play with. And I'm disappointed that Sigma hasn't had anything like Thondia since Thondia.
I wish we sat in Thondia a little bit. So we played back in first edition. I don't know if you remember, we had Malign Portents, which was leading into second edition, Nagash having the Necroquake, before Endless Spells. And it was actually this particular campaign that created the Endless Spells. We actually got to sit in that for like a month or two. It feels like Thondia was just like that. We were there for seconds, and then it was third edition, and I've not played with any of the Thondia rules. So I'd love to see more of them, but actually let me sit in it for a little bit before you release something big.
Yeah, it's always been it's recently been a criticism of modern Games Workshop systems, that there is always new releases. There's always more. There's always something new, and there's not a lot of sitting and reflecting and feeling things out. And obviously there's positives and negatives, like there always is, but you do miss out on some of that. I mean, now you have to think. When you...
All right, what did we just see?
We saw fantastic stuff. We saw, more and more of the new Seraphon. We saw Croxagors. We saw a new plastic kit for the Scar Veteran riding on what might be the new Cold Ones. I want to see some text on the stream to confirm what they're meant to be riding. Oh no, Agrodon
Lancers. So we've got a new kit, whether it is going to replace the current Saurus Knights, or if it is a supplement. I mean, there's only 3 models. We know the Saurus Knights come in 5s. That's 5, not 5. So is this an elite version of them? And do they play a different role as opposed? Are they like the Demigryphs compared to like the other version?
I would be surprised if they didn't take the opportunity to replace Cold Ones. They're one of the most commonly critiqued models of the Seraphon range. and to take this opportunity to redo them and replace them. I mean, I'd be surprised if Games Workshop didn't take that. On the other hand, I'd be surprised if they redid Cold Ones and also released these at the same time, since it seems to fill the same niche. I mean, it's hard to say. Hopefully someone somewhere confirms pretty soon. I just don't know whether both could exist.
If I'm taking a stab, if I'm making a complete stab, I'm saying they're retiring Saurus Knights. And because I've got this theory in preparation for the old world, they will retire a bunch of old kits, move them to eventually be relaunched as fantasy battles. Because I can't see them bringing out too many things other than heroes and some new armies. So I can see them, and that's why Dawnbringers is going to be. That's my theory. Yeah. But you look at this, and like this is sexy. This is really cool. Great to see a new Scar Vet on not on a Carnosaur. This is obviously a more of a, because you don't have that at the moment, right? You've got and a lot of the models are resin, they're plastic, they metal, they don't sit.
No, they don't. And so, this is a very good opportunity to refresh those parts of the range, reduce, not reduce the box bloat, but, refresh the range, put a new spin on it. Agrodons sounds a bit more exciting than Cold Ones. In the Age of Sigmar setting, where you're used to these sort of more exotic animals, Cold One, it's maybe not AOS centric enough, and Agrodon is a cool sounding name.
Hades, they don't really talk about rules at this point, so rules are never really shown in reveals. This is about showing the sexy, cool new toy. Warhammer Community is usually the place that they will show rules for things like this. But I mean, the
Star Lizardman, as it were, as well as the ones that are actually more.
It's great to see Croxigor actually get some focus, because they've always been this weird spot. Back in the day, they complemented Skinks really well back in fantasy battles, but there's never been a unit that synergizes with Croxigor in AOS. So it feels like new models are going to give them new focus and hopefully some love, some new rules, some new ways to play, and a unique way. Like, are these the new bodyguards? Like, what are they planning on doing? But what are your thoughts on the new Croxigors?
Yeah, I mean, love them. They're definitely very crocodilian look. They look modern. They look dynamic while also looking bulky and strong. A little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me, though. That's
a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
I mean, for a lot of people, that would be an A+ design decision. Yeah, I think if you're going to redo Croxigor Warspawned, then you definitely could do a lot worse than that. It's going to be a fantastic looking army.
Still good, guys.
And here's a shot of the whole Seraphon range, kind of as it all comes together, and you get a sense now of all those new units that we've seen, and how they kind of come together to make just an incredible looking faction. So everything about the Seraphon army, every new.
I wonder if this is going to be like a FOMO box.
Oh, definitely.
Oh.
On the way, we can now show you the cover featuring, as it does, an Agrodon Lancer champion.
Right.
Brand new battle tome obviously brings with it all the new rules you'll need to play with the Seraphon. Some of the existing kits still stick around, so things like the Stegodons, the Carnosaur, most of the big monsters that are relatively recent kits that are still really nice stick around. But all of those new things we've seen are added to it as well. So it's a pretty big army now in terms of the number of war scrolls you get to choose from.
Yeah, it really feels like it's fit properly into the Age of Sigmar universe, heavily revitalized, and again, a bunch of clever girls there in those units.
The first place you will be able to get hold of the new Seraphon and the new battle tome is an army box, which is on its way fairly soon. And inside,
Ooh.
we'll get these units. So the battle tome, 2 units of Raptidons, the Slanmade Priest, and a unit of Saurus. And then that will be followed swiftly afterwards by the release of all the rest of the Seraphon models that we've seen. So if you are a Seraphon fan, there is a really, really good few months ahead of you.
Save up your pennies, kids, because
Pretty cool.
It's
that's
exciting.
very
What
cool.
I think we have a bunch of other things to cover for
That
the Age of
isn't.
Sigmar.
We were about
Oh.
halfway through Age of Sigmar.
Only
there's
halfway.
loads of cool stuff.
Oh, the
What
books.
could it be?
Practically
Yeah.
insane. What else do we have?
Interesting choice for the army box to
Oh,
have 2
oh,
units.
oh. So, what did we just see?
We just saw 2 new books, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers and the Soul Blight Grave Lords, as well as a new hero for each. We got the thingy what's it, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, another Mortisan, and Baby Dharma, the little werewolf vampire.
Veercross, right? That was a Veercross hero.
Yeah.
The more bestial type of. Yes, unfortunately, if you picked Feck, you were incorrect. We knew there were 2 new battle tomes coming. Obviously, Soulblight Gravelords, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and Flesh Eater Courts were the 3 possible candidates, unless they wanted to redo Nighthaunt. That would have just triggered everybody. And we know that is Feck merging into Soulblight? No, it just means that they will probably be coming later, and I wouldn't be surprised if now or this time next month at Warhammer Fest they show us the roadmap. So I imagine Feck will come, I don't know, August, September. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks if you're a Flesh Eater Courts player. You know, your book's old. It doesn't. Your range is dated. You're not living the best life like some of these other factions are. But if your dream is to get those models revamped, and when we know that Seraphon is getting refreshed right now, and we now know that 10th edition 40k is going on right now, and we know that they have trouble keeping the current things in stock anyway, there's just no space in the factory to actually get this new Flesh Eater Court stuff done. So the hope is, if you're a hoper, Ivya Volga, all right, if they're going to redoing Flesh Eater Courts, the best case scenario, this is on track for that best case scenario to get that refreshed range, or at least a significant update to it later in the year.
So we've got ourselves 2 new minor heroes. So we have a Soulblight, a vampire, all the bats, and Veercross. So you can see the bestial legs combining nicely with a vampire body. Bats galore if you love your bat aesthetic, or maybe you clip them off if you don't like your bats. What are your thoughts on Ivya?
Yeah, when I saw her, my immediate gut reaction, to be honest, is a little bit of disappointment. That she's a cool model, but we've seen her, with Belladamma and I can't remember his name other than Radikar. We've seen that vibe, and the Volgas, the Veercross dynasty, isn't my favorite part of the Soulblight book. So seeing it built upon, it doesn't necessarily, raise me from my grave. But she is a cool model. She does look neat. Would I be happy to see her across the table? Yes, I would. Would I want to paint her? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I think I might enjoy to do that. So I'm not angry, that she's seeing, but I would have loved to see an Evangori hero or something like that.
I think it brings a look. It's definitely not for me. It's not my style of army. I'll just see if there's anything.
In Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and this book brings them bang up to date with loads of
Cool. So they're just bringing him up to date. Although it's really, I always find Soulblight really funny because it was released on the cusp of 3rd edition. So you would have imagined they would have been right at the start. I get the feeling they're about to
The
go.
line, and now it's all about the Mortal Realms.
Well, let's see what else we got.
Oh.
I don't remember taking the coin, Malleus. But here we are, trudging through the mud to bring Sigmar's light to the realms.
All right, we got Cities of Sigmar.
So, Cities of Sigmar, that is the new
Am I
infantry that is on its way for the Free Peoples, basically Sigmar's mortal followers. So, just to set your expectations a little bit, we are still a good few months away from the release of this army in full, but we wanted to kind of keep you updated as to where the project was getting to. We've kind of been following the Cities of Sigmar project as it develops, and now we've got the first kind of painted miniatures to show you. This is some warriors from the mortal infantry units of Sigmar. They are effectively, if you imagine that these people have to face flying sharks and huge uruks and vampires and monsters and pretty much.
So they're the human equivalent of Croxigors then?
Yeah, well, not really. If you're looking for the absolute underdog of the Mortal Realms, this is this unit. They are given a rusty shield.
I'm just going to say it. I hate this.
Weaponry,
I thought you might.
I legitimately hate this.
Booted out en masse into the realms on great big crusades, given a pat on the back, and they have to go and found a city somewhere in the Mortal Realms. So they are the plucky underdogs of the Mortal Realms.
It's good to actually see some interesting models that are basically the opposite end of the spectrum of that sort of often wild and crazy and monstrous element and aesthetic that you see a lot of
even on
Sigmar.
the good guy side, right? Even in the Forces of Order, Stormcast have very much been the point of view characters almost that we've kind of followed. And what this army basically does is it gives you the base level. It gives you like, what do the humans look like? What are they up to in the Mortal Realms? We'll have lots more stuff for the Cities of Sigmar over the coming weeks and months as we kind of approach the release. This is a piece of artwork from the upcoming Battle Tome. And what this does, which is quite cool, it gives you a sense of some of the sub-factions that are covered within the new Battle Tome.
The different sigils of the various cities.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the center there, you've got Sigmar sigil, the 12-pointed star, but round the edge, you've got some symbols of cities that might be familiar if you're up to date on your current Age of Sigmar lore, and there's some ones that are brand new. So give you a bit of a sense of the different corners of the Mortal Realms that the Battle Tome and the armies will cover.
And you said Sigmar, the cities of Sigmar.
Here we go.
What can it look like between now and then?
So in terms of the roadmap for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, we have Blades of Khorne and Head Knights for Slaanesh are available to pre-order just now. So they are days away from being in people's hands. Very soon after, we get 2 Death Battle Tomes. So the Ossiarch Bone Reapers and the Soulblight Gravelords are hot on their heels. And then we have Mystery Book 1 in summer. We're not going to tell you what that is just yet, but it's going to be very cool and exciting. So we'll tune in for future previews to find out what that is. We also have Seraphon alongside their army box. They're going to land in summer, as will the latest General's Handbook. And then in autumn, we have Mystery Book 2, which I'm not going to tell you about today. But just very
so one's feck. One's feck.
Teasing us constantly.
True.
One has to be a refresh.
And then Cities of Sigmar will be with us before the end of the year. So we'll keep you up to date. We'll give you lots more information about Sigmar. But whether it's Seraphon, Cities of Sigmar, or any of those other battle tomes that are on the way, it is a pretty exciting few months, actually.
I mean, you've only told us up to autumn. Who knows what the winter could bring?
Who knows what the winter could bring?
Well, what do we have? So we've covered a lot of Sigmar. We took a detour from the 41st millennium. I feel like we should go back there for at least
We can go that for a
Oh, you don't have to.
What else do we have?
No, we don't have to.
Kill team.
Then we've got to get out of here. The Hulk's going to blow. Not until we find our Iron King. Quick, search through the stasis chambers. Beastmen! Get to the escape pods. The ancestors are watching.
Beasts of Chaos are in Kill Team.
Who knew?
What the F is that? What was going on there? So I just want to explain. I hate that Cities of Sigmar, straight up. I know some people said they don't look like Empire. Guess what? That's what got me into Age of Sigmar. I love the pantaloons. I love the feathers. I love the mustaches. And that is not my army. So I think if that is the aesthetic of Cities of Sigmar moving forward, it is no longer my army. That's my line of the sand. But I thought I'd bring up the article now. So while they talk about a game that most of us don't care about, we do have the Warhammer community has put up the post on the Seraphon. So if you want to get a better look at the Seraphon, you can check it out. But I do like it. I do feel the Thunder Lizard aesthetic is no longer just the celestial dreams being remembered from a slan in a spaceship. It definitely does feel a bit more as well, that jungle-y, which is probably more what I like. I like more of that jungle-y, Aztec-y. I know it's not imaginative to some people, but that's what I grew up on. And I just want to play dinosaurs. And give me an option of no dinosaurs riding the dinosaurs. Give me like a feral Seraphon like they have in Total War. And I'm all over this army.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing them balance the more martial, primeval beasties with the Saurus and so on, with the more ticky, magical with the Skinkar, Starseer, and the Slan. You know, where you can sort of see the hover chairs, that there are some little sciencey machineries going on. I mean, beating a dead horse here, really, but they look good. They look cool. And I'm looking forward to them releasing. It's been such a big handicap on Seraphon for so long, having some old, not meeting the current standard models. And so this is a big win, not just for Seraphon players, but the all Age Sigmar players, I think, having this range up to date.
Yeah, I feel like Seraphon, like rules aside, should be the #1 selling army in the game. Like when someone walks into their local game store and sees Seraphon, like how are you not tempted to start Seraphon as your first army? Like that must, and that's where like the models being refreshed is so important. But they take really well to contrast. They have such great detail that you could paint them by hand. I mean, again, here's your Croxigor if you want to get a little bit of a close up, making sure we're not missing anything. Cool, more space dwarves. Yeah, I really like the new Croxigor. I like that they finally had a bit of love. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you there, King Mike. They have a bit of a bone splitters aesthetic, and that kind of tells me that they're savage, which is what I would expect from a Croxigor.
They're showing the Beasts of Chaos on the stream at the moment, if you wanted to have a closer look.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like that, first off, Beasts of Chaos players must be crying right now because they got no update. They didn't get any model updates other than they got no model updates.
Changeability between them.
Yeah.
And that is Beasts of Chaos right there. Like, yeah, you got a new what's he called? Shaman, the Beast Lord. Beast Lord,
yeah.
That's screaming to me like I don't know. Could this be your Bestigor? Like, could you make some minor kit bashes and this is your sweet new Bestigor?
It depends on the scale. Some of those look like pretty easy conversions, so snipping off some grenades. But I saw one that has like a cybernetic arm. You're not going to get the full unit out of that box.
No, but hopefully, you've got a few bits in your bits box to be able to bring them in line. But look, obviously models aside, Carlos, like obviously when Games Workshop relaunch an army, you give them a new battle tome, the stock, I feel like they hold stock back a little bit and wait for this launch because obviously people get excited for the new kits and they just want to buy everything. Interesting that, have they ever had that Beastman kind of aesthetic in 40k?
They've had a Necromunda model. Forgot what his name was. and they've always been in the narrative, abhumans. But I think, I could be wrong, but this is the sort of first major sighting of them.
Maybe this is how Skaven get their new kits. Maybe if we do Skaven in space, we get some, acolytes and new models.
Yeah, maybe.
Play won't go away. That's like your inside.
Right, they're still talking a little bit about, but in the meantime, like we do have the new. Yeah. What do you reckon?
A cool model. Again, I don't know if OBR wanted more Mortisans. They've already got 3. This is sort of like a bone mason, but on foot. If I was an OBR player, if not more units, if I had to have a hero, then I would have wanted a liege Hekatos, right? Like so a foot melee hero, because that sort of feels like it's filling out the range a bit more. I'm not sure I would have wanted another. Whoop.
All right, this is sick.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. It's a
so
bunch
we've got more Stormcast in Underworlds as called out in the chat, but it's a different looking Stormcast. We have some face masks, but more importantly, I think it was the Tzeentch side that kind of got my interest.
Yeah, Ephilim, that hero, there's a very, very cool model. It's an evolution of a Gaunt Summoner, for me at least, in terms of what I enjoy aesthetically. I would love to have that model. And the rest of the Tzeentch models, I mean, I tweeted a couple of days ago that there used to be a lot more body horror in Chaos. Things bursting out of other things and just gribbly nastiness. And that's we want to see that most is in Tzeentch, and that's apparently where we're getting it from. Those are some cool models, I think. Full stop.
Yeah, because like you look at the Changeling and the Curseling. Sorry, the Curseling has got that mutation like coming out of the the extra arm and the extra body. That to me is Tzeentch, right? Like Tzeentch is that twisted, like that. I think you call it horror. Like I don't know what the terminology would be, but that to me is brilliant. Like maybe like Japanese horror, would you call it? Like it's just messed up Slender Man type stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I want them to show us the models. I'm not so worried about the board. Not so worried about the cards.
Here's another piece of cardboard and some hexes. There we go.
Hey!
Oh, here we go. Look at those spawns. Yeah, this is some messed up stuff. And we saw the preview of that left one. I can't remember where we saw it. The one on the far left.
On Twitter for getting 9,999 followers or something.
Yeah, God, cool. The ones on the right really. I mean, first off, the ones on the right, the horrors on the right are sensational, and the middle one that's a centerpiece Gaunt Summoner, right? Like that stands out.
That's very cool.
Yeah. The one eye, she's creepy as Shadow Swordman Master has said. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost want to cut off the little like the moon, so it's just a single smooth face. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I'm very happy with that, and I'm not a Tzeentch player.
Reminds me a little bit of I don't know if you remember the Juan Diaz pink horrors. They actually had pink horrors that were splitting out to be blue horrors from the pink horrors, so it was like mid split. That was the edition before the current one, and Yeah, okay, we got a Stormcast Trident going on there.
Yep, so that was a Stormcast silhouette.
So technically, I was
Yeah.
right. I was just one
Yeah.
too far away.
Yeah, we'll give that to you. Yeah, yeah. These Stormcasts, they're fine. They're cool. They don't tempt me to buy Stormcast like the Zinch models tempt me to buy Zinch.
I think the middle one's fascinating with the lifting up the rock or the pillar or whatever it was in the center. I thought that's an interesting model to paint, as opposed to like tactical rock or tactical destroyed pillar.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just seeing if Warcom is updated yet. We can bring up some of those images, but what are your thoughts on the Dawnbringers? I didn't get to, after my little rant of I don't like that. Where do you stand on the Dawnbringers? Are you going to defend them against my my pure disappointment?
I won't put too much effort into defending them. I think they look neat. I think they look good. I'd be interested to see what a whole unit of them looks like rather than just the 3. And I'm more interested even to see what the heroes look like, to see if they have a bit more style, that sort of old Panzerschnecht type of flamboyance. As they are 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I think, they a little funny to me. Some people think, have pointed out they look a little odd, something like the little thing on the helmet. I'm not necessarily a massive fan of, but that's why I'm interested to see the whole unit, to see what sort of options there are. Good to see male and female soldiers in the same unit. Often that's just been the preserve of elves and also Stormcast, but now to actually just have the standard humans be male and female, that's been a long time coming.
Anyone who badmouth pantaloons, I'm not bringing up your comments in the chat. Like, you have become my mortal enemy, and we are no longer friends. Just want to point that one out.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of pantaloon hate in there.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. Is there anything else we need to see? I'm sure there's going to be like a little animation for 10th edition at the end, because these normally go for about an hour, just after an hour.
Yeah, we've got one more left, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, speak of the devil.
Victory. That is what the preachers cry from the spires of their temples. What commanders tell the soldiers in their service. The Indomitus Crusade meets with triumph after triumph. Day by day we tear Imperium Nihilus from the despoiler's grip. And though we are beset on all sides, with each battle we drive back the mutant, the heretic, the alien. As I speak these words, our forces engage the remnants of Leviathan. Reclaiming lost worlds, atoning for old shames, a crusade to cleanse the stars. Taking the fight to the enemy. We routed the Tyranids at Bar. We broke their high fleet. Soon, their foulness will be but a memory. That is what the preachers say. not save us. Lies will not protect us. But it is our hope that will damn us. In the spies and the slopes. Our people sing of victory. Victory as the galaxy burns. Victory as the Imperium rocks around us. Victory as humanity rages against the dying of the light. Victory.
That's a long ass trailer.
Yeah.
So what do we see there? We saw rodent guillotine. Was that
something like that?
Robert Gurley Man, Robert Man? Is that what we just saw?
Yeah. The big RG, Papa Smurf himself.
I will say
he's
first
not
off,
feeling too optimistic.
we saw lictors with the Tyranid box, so that was kind of neat. First off, I just want to give a shout out. Like, the animations were insane. That was incredible. Again, I don't play 40k. It doesn't really interest me. I harvest them for bits at best. But very cool trailer. Very interesting to see the animation and what they now can do. And it does make you wonder, as someone pointed out, like what they could do if they put that focus into Warhammer Plus and the animation series. Like, more of that, please.
Yeah. All right. Corn Wizard, the Weta employee, being quite critical of the trailer. I enjoyed it. I'm interested in watching it again on not restream quality, actually booting it up on YouTube later.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're just
no.
models.
Okay. It's just.
We're just. All right. Let's go back to what we were going to look at, which was the Dawnbringer Crusade. So it looks like they just. There's more. Are you on the same thing?
Command armies of genetically enhanced super soldiers, brutal monsters, powerful aliens, and destructive war machines to play out spectacular battles.
It's just a 40k trailer, you know. Oh no. Ooh.
Our mantra with this new edition has been streamlining.
We've been listening to the community, and that's a large part of why we've decided to focus the game as much as possible.
How can we keep the tactical depth and richness that players love, but examine every rule in the game? Does this need to be here, or is there another way that we can achieve the same result?
To secure victory, you must understand your strengths and the strengths of your enemy.
We fundamentally changed the datasheets from the ground up,
making them much more accessible and really focusing the rules onto the datasheet themselves. What the team's been able to do with this is really look at every unit in the game, make sure it has a really clear battlefield role and a thing for it to do, and then write the right rules for it.
Your datasheet rules all fit on a single card, and your army rules will fit on a single page.
One of the things we wanted to ensure was that everyone got to play 40k as soon as possible after the edition was launched. So to make that happen, all of the rules for everyone's armies via the datasheets and their army rules will be available for free.
From the darkness between the stars, a twisted mockery of evolution spawns fresh horrors.
It's a galaxy at war. This is the onset of what the Imperium will regard as the Fourth Tyrannic War. This is the largest Tyranid swarm ever recognized in the galaxy, emerging when no one's expected it. The Segmentum Pacificus.
To be a warrior of the Emperor in such times is to face an array of nightmares.
What we've managed to achieve with this edition is a game that players of Warhammer 40,000 will love for its tactical depth and choices, but is streamlined and plays much quicker.
The end result is faster, while still keeping all the flavour that you've come to love in Warhammer 40,000.
For players who've been with Warhammer 40,000 for the last 35 years, they've never seen anything like this before. We've never shown conflict at this scale.
Immersive and thrilling new gameplay. Discover a major new narrative in the 4th Tyrannic War. The new edition of Warhammer 40,000 deploys this summer.
All right, so we've got 10th edition coming in, I assume, June. It'll be the first couple of weeks in June at least.
That's the Warhammer 40,000 studio had to say about some of the changes. It sounds very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Jono, any thoughts, anything you want to add to the chat here? It seems like they have some simplifications and some learnings from Age of Sigmar. I always feel like there's always this lessons and things that Age of Sigmar trial and they bring over.
Yeah. What is interesting is simplified data sheets, cool. All the rules on the data sheets, cool. I feel like that's what they're already aiming for in previous editions. But what caught my eye or my ears is all the army rules on a single page. That's interesting. But also, that'll be available for free alongside the data slates, whatever they're called, their war scrolls. And that harkens back to what we were talking about right at the beginning of the stream, where a new edition is a time for new approaches to just how the game works. They just keep going.
I was just making sure they're not saying anything else. They're just reinforcing.
New Terminator as well. And so I'm interested to see what codexes are going to look like in the next edition if army rules and unit rules are free. Is there going to be another level or something else?
My guess would be what they did was it in 8th edition where they had those 4 generic battle tomes or codexes that were like everyone was like Space Marine.
Yep, you know what?
Like they'll go generic, like this big encompassing Grand Alliance tome equivalent, and then they'll probably start again. It feels like we're going back to the start of 8th edition, but with new lessons and simplifications and what Wade mentioned about a new way of playing and combat and blah blah blah. But it feels like we're about to repeat the cycle of 8th, and you'll go 8th, 9th, where 8th refresh the game, and then 9th kind of is like a tweak to it, which will be obviously the equivalent with 11th.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they word this if they write it later on. If the army rules are on one page and they're free, will just be for that initial release, and then codexes will provide more options and depth. Width.
Yeah, like indexes. Sorry, indexes are what they call. That's right. There was like 4 indexes. There was like one for like Xenos, one for Chaos, one for not Space Marine, like your Sisters of Battle and your. Stretching my 40k knowledge at this point.
You're doing great.
I do feel sorry, by the way, for the World Eaters players who literally. I know, you got Angron and things like that, but you just got your codex. I do feel sorry for them a little. I love this comment. Mini's so detailed that barrels come pre-drilled. It's a rite of passage to drill your gun barrels.
What a world we live in.
Oh my gosh. In the meantime, I actually might even bring up the Siege of Sigmar / Dawnbringer Crusades / who knows what this is. This to me feels like Bretonnia Man-at-Arms.
Sure. Yep.
I don't know if you remember the old Bretonnia Man-at-Arms, but this feels like the Man-at-Arms kit. Obviously on steroids for Sigmar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a feeling of Turnip 28. You may have seen that on Twitter. It is it's a funny old. I imagine I'm predicting that they're going to grow on me. When I initially saw the Deepkin, I thought they were ridiculous, but they've grown on me. Same with the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I think it's going to be a similar journey.
That's
with me.
That's Living City.
Yes.
That's Tempest Eye. That is Hammer Hall. I think it's Hammer Hall.
Which actually
that might be the two. That might be the 2 versions, because you got Hammer Hall that's in action, and you got Hammer Hall that's in Gairan. So maybe that's the 2 splits of Hammer Hall.
The twin-tailed city. Yeah, is that Ulfin Khan, the one with the raven? Because that would be cool.
This one, the heart reminds me a little bit of, you know how Harkuron got taken over as Anvil Guard by Marathi? I wonder if that heart, because that heart just runs to me Daughters of Cain immediately.
Sure.
So I wonder if that is the Harkuron or the evolution of Harkuron since Marathi took over the city.
Yes, well, I was wondering if that was Anvil Guard with the hammer.
Anvil Guard's dead.
Not the hammer, the anchor. Well, see, that's the question. So, because that gives me an Anvil Guard vibe. You can't see where my mouse is, but on the right to the S. So, more something.
They're just replaying the. Don't freak out here. They just show new Tyranids.
New Termagant. That's cool.
I must admit, like Tyranids definitely are one of the other parts of the game that I'd be interested in. I think it's something kind of cool. Like I remember playing 2nd edition, I'd build like the old Carnifex with like 4 arms, metal. It was like they used an industrial amount of super glue to keep those arms up.
Yeah, I saw they had a Screamer Killer in that trailer, the old style.
Shout out to Maxi. Hello Heart, of course. That's probably a really good
now that you
shout,
say
actually.
it.
Yeah, good. It's a good shout.
Yeah. It makes sense.
If the Raven is Lethus, I'd be surprised. That'd be an interesting one if true. By the way, I think Harkuron will be in the Daughters book. Maybe that would be. That's then assuming that Daughters of Cain get a new book, and I cannot wait to see the Twitter rage if Daughters of Cain is that one of the new books coming up in the. I think some of the icons that are there are going to be. There's going to be an evolution. So the anchor could be Miss Tarvin. Could be,
but yeah, no, that makes sense.
Craig with the they aren't as gaunt. Yes, Marathi may have gave it back and made friends again.
Absolutely.
Where are the new Skaven sculpts? Well, maybe they're going to be in the upcoming Kill Team. If Beasts of Chaos get new sculpts from Kill Team, maybe Skaven's expansion is via Kill Team.
Yeah, people have been wanting it since 3rd edition, and the little Hrud illustration and it's interesting little cheeky little glow up for the Termagants.
For Triple Herbs, Lethus was not a White Dwarf expansion. Wasn't Lethus in Forbidden Power? Forbidden Power, which was where we got Lolchin the Soul Seeker, and we got the Soul Scream Bridge. They gave Tyranids AK-47s. Love it. Harkuron is still a city, though. I mean, it got turned into... Yeah, Anvil Guard turned into Harkuron. Yes.
Yeah, Marathi.
Yeah, I was just trying to work out what it was. Like the former was Anvil Guard. The latter is now Harkuron. So who knows? I'm just thinking about the triggering of a new Daughters of Cain book. What else? Is there anything else coming up on the street? It looks like it was so far so good. But normally they like to end it with a little teaser at the end. Maybe there is one more thing coming, or maybe we're just going to end on 40k.
Wash it on a dry brush or something like that. It's going to pick out all that detail really nicely.
All right, we'll keep an eye on things.
Yeah, that's just in. You can dry brush your models.
It's good to know.
That's unfair. All right, are they finishing it up?
Well, almost. I feel like let's give them a little bit more. I feel like they might wrap it up.
Yeah, so the new edition of Warhammer 40,000.
They haven't shown Warcry yet, have they?
War against the Tyranids. So what we saw at the end of the Arcs of Omen.
We saw Underworld, but we haven't seen Warcry yet.
Was the end of that story. So it has a
true. Maybe that was on the little.
Maybe they're gonna end us on Warcry. Yes. We haven't seen Warcry yet.
And then what we've done with the new edition is we've picked up the lens of.
Show us the Warcry.
In this instance, it's the western rim.
All right. So there's probably one more reveal unless there's a surprise kid. So good call out. Yes. No Warcry yet. There's been plenty of Sigma models, but nothing yet. Or they've either forgotten Warcry. They meant to have the Underworld's logo. No, the Underworld's logo was there too. There wasn't a
the Warcry logo definitely was there.
Here's the poster.
No, Warcry.
No. We're just thinking about the Reddit leaks.
Yeah, the leaks.
People have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe there is no war cry. What is a war cry?
That's a pity.
Thoughts and prayers for war cry. You bet. It looks like there's some cool new terrain coming from them. No,
okay.
you're right,
That's
but
out
there
there.
has been some recent leaks showing off some of the new Warcry stuff. So, all right, looks like they're just talking shop. So, what is your? Yeah, maybe there's going to be an oops tomorrow. We forgot. That's a very GW thing. James Workshop can come out. But what's been your part of the favorite stream so far? Assuming there's no secret reveals coming up at the end.
Yeah, I mean the Seraphon are looking great. The Seraphon are really cool. You know, I'm interested in the new edition of 40k, just to see how that goes. If anything, like I've sort of mentioned a couple of times, the distribution model, how they're going to be releasing the rules, because that is probably going to impact on how Age of Sigmar works in the future. Oh man, it feels like this all happened a very long time ago. What else was revealed? The Zench models for Underworld's very cool. The Stormcast ones, they're Stormcast, you know. If you like Stormcast, you'll like them. If you don't, you don't.
Yep.
Dawnbringer Crusades. Again, fine.
That's what I wanted to see. Now that they finally got up the new Underworld. So again, if you want to see all these videos live, you can go watch yourself. You can obviously go watch all these different videos. This is what I like. I like this. It's very dynamic. It just shows you the advancement of how well the sculpting team has gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is sick. This is sick. When is AOS 4 due? What you want to take a stab at the dark?
I mean, there's people say there's the 3-year schedule. So when did it? So next year?
So yeah. So if it's on the 3-year cycle, it would be 2024. But I have a crack theory that we are on a 4-year cycle now.
Yeah.
Because you got 40k, it'll happen every couple of years. But I feel like now with Horus Heresy, now with Age of Sigmar, with obviously Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth, you've got all the different specialist games, plus the old world coming. I feel like they actually might break that out to a 4-year cycle, or at least some of the games that aren't 40k might be a 4-year cycle. And you know what? I think 3rd edition has probably been the best edition so far. Yeah, you could talk about brokenness and battle tome stuff, but I'm actually pretty happy with 3rd edition.
Definitely. No, I'm pretty cool with 3rd edition, and if it was a 4-year cycle, totally fine with that. I'm a big fan of letting things breathe, getting your money's worth from your book. I'd be surprised, I think, if it was 4 years, because that would essentially give us a year and a half without any new battle tomes needing to be done, of it just being purely refreshes, which could happen.
Yeah,
but it feels odd.
Well, but in saying that, right? So Chaos Dwarves could come. We have extra Lumineth to come. We have new Daughters of Cain to come with the Malekith Malarian side of the book.
You reckon that's going to be in the same book?
If I was if I'm taking a stab, I would say that it will be like Auric Warclans, where you have your Daughters of Cain, you have Malarian Shadow Elves, and then you have the soup in the middle if you want to combine the 3. You have 3 different allegiance abilities.
That's not a bad shout.
I just can't see them releasing independent tomes. In fact, they've been trying to migrate them. So if anything, I can see them bringing in. It's not a soup book, but I'm not saying it's all in one book, but you'll have 3 different sets of allegiance. I don't know. I don't see enough models coming out. I can see them doing that for Sylvaneth with Kurnothi if they ever expand the Kurnothi range.
Yeah. Can you even still buy the
Underworld
Kurnothi unit? Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be hugely surprised, but I'd be a little surprised, I think, if they added it into the new book, because I feel like you could get a lot of hype, a lot of excitement for a new book like that. They did it with Cruel Boys. They put it into Auric Warclans.
That's how I see it. And like, you know, Robert mentioning, you know, now that Grungni's back for the Duarden, will there be this golem like, is he, you have your KO, you have your Fire Slayers, and then you have some more traditionally type Duarden. Again, a lot of it hinges on what happens to the cities of Sigmar. Will those Duarden kits get replaced?
Yeah.
White Fang hinted that they're going to be some form of Konothi. Sylvaneth needs an expansion, and I could see some of the Wood Elves being reimagined into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Hades, they could have just made it, a new book. We don't pull the humans together. You wouldn't have been able to include them in Big War, I suppose, but I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a Orc War Clans and then also Cruel Boys. Yeah. I mean, Cities of Sigmar is the big one, I think. That we'll see what their plan is for a lot of the range. A lot of models, their lives are relying on what happens.
Yeah. I've made it pretty clear what I think is going to happen. I think a lot of the old kits will be legend. Dawnbringers will step up into their place, and those Free Guild Guard, the handgunners, the crossbowmen, they will all be brought in to the old world when it's relaunched in 2025, 2026.
Sure.
Give it enough time to breathe, then I can see them being brought back to life. And the same is true, if I'm speculating, Ironbreakers, the Duarden side. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to think about having dual kits that work for both Sigmar and Old World, or if they'll retire some and bring some back to life another time.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. A lot of questions, and we're going to have to wait a while to get some answers.
And that's the thing, right? Will they bring in converters to go from rounds to squares? Maybe, but maybe they're more interested in having a clear cut. This is Cities of Sigmar. This is Old World.
Yeah.
Who knows what they want? If people are curious, there's the data sheet now. They're just kind of recapping some of the stuff, so you're not missing out on anything on the stream, kids. They're just kind of showing off the range, but it looks like they've shown off literally everything. I'm going to hang around just a little bit longer in case they do share. Like sometimes they drop some little nuggets right at the very end and just like drop the mic and get people like appetites wet. But it looks like
they've removed the strength stat from 40k data sheets. That's interesting. Well, they may have put it straight onto the melee weapon profile. Fair enough.
What do you got here? Yeah. So again, like if you guys want to check this out, there is some stuff there, some videos. There's the stat sheet. So this is a new stats card here. So we've got movement, toughness, SV. Is that shooting? No. What's SV? Save. Of course. Wounds, leadership. What's OC?
OC.
It's an OC. What's an OC? No idea what that is.
Yeah, it's just your orange coast value. OC.
What's OC? Anyone know what an OC is? Not an OG, an OC.
An original character. They have 2 original characters that they're writing fanfics for. Objective control. That's an interesting idea, Mogwai man.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I'd be surprised if Termagants counted for 2 on objectives, but
jeez, imagine that. Like you just bring back the hordes.
Yeah, okay, but then spore mines or whatever could count as one. That's a cool idea.
Settle down. They're not showing you the rules. They're showing you 10th edition, Mr. I don't like pantaloons. Shouldn't have been brought up here. Orange camels, yeah, possibly those Termagant orange. They're showing you the simplified version of the game. They're not. Where are the rules, smarty pants, for your Seraphon? Huh? Where do you see your Sigma rules? Huh? That's right. There's not. They don't show them here. They're just showing you an example of what the new edition is going to look like. Smarty pants. Maybe they're talking about the.
Focuses on how the unit behaves and is very thematically tied to them.
I guess one of the things before we get too into it is that the datasheet does look quite different, but actually the effect in terms of what it does in the game is not a million miles away from the way that Warhammer 40,000 works today. So
no, it's going to seem very familiar. It's not a move to something like Age of Sigmar, where every unit hits or wounds on a fixed number or something like that. Instead, it's still very similar to what you'll remember or recognize from Warhammer 40,000 today. But the ranged weapons and melee weapons and things like that have been moved into their own profile. You'll notice that attacks and ballistic skill and weapon skill and strength.
Yeah, they still exist. They're just attached to the weapon rather than about the fighter.
That allows us to do a wide variety of things with the way that the units are designed, such as something like chainswords or a Space Marine Captain's Power Fist versus a Space Marine Sergeant's Power Fist. Those things can all be somewhat different, and they can reflect the way the individual models work rather than being hard tied to the individual model's attacks or strength characteristics.
So we've got a few questions in the chat about OC. Talk a bit about that.
Objective control. So OC effectively establishes the value that each model in a unit has if it is within range of an objective marker. So a unit of 10, now things like objective secured as a rule, those are gone. Instead, it's reflected with the individual units. Each model may have a different objective control characteristic.
There you go.
So each termagant is worth effectively 2 points if it's within range of an objective. Whereas something that may be bigger or more robust but isn't really focused on grabbing objectives may only have an OC value of 1.
But it also means things like knights, which
have a much higher
particularly
OC
struggled with objective control, can actually now count as lots of the OC could be quite high, and they could,
wait till they introduce the double turn in the priority roll in 10th edition.
Design models for function, because again, when you look at things like what does optimal mean,
that would be cool if they introduced that into Age of Sigmar.
Focus on. So you can go, well, this unit may not have the same damage output as another unit, but it's much better at grabbing objectives, which still remain a very key
I imagine
part of how the game is
termagants are going to be relatively cheap, right? So that's probably one of the cheapest.
I don't think they're going to cost the same as a Terminator.
But that's one of the most efficient ways to fill the board with objective control.
Absolutely, which is exactly what termagants do.
So they're talking a lot of 40k, and to be honest with you, I don't have much more to say about this. There's a lot. Can we get objective control in AOS? We kind of do, but I mean, Gargants count as more on an objective. You've got models that count as more. Like, it's kind of already there. All right. Anything you want to kind of wrap up with, Jono? Mr. Azir Weekly, I'm going to pause the stream. Yeah. I think we're over. There's nothing more to reveal. It's been, 90-odd minutes now. Yes, if the 40k gets the double turn, I think that'll be hilarious, because I know 40k people hate the double turn idea. But bring us home. What are your thoughts? What was your favorite thing? What are you curious about? What are some of the questions you maybe have off the back of the stream?
Yeah, I mean, like we've discussed, Age of Sigmar, that's the big question. Dawnbringer Crusades, the unit that we've seen, does that replace Free Guild Guard? Does it replace more than just Free Guild Guard? Is it going to coexist with any of the old units? Love the Seraphon, love Zinch. I mean, 40k, I thought Lionel Johnson, cool. Low-key excited about the new edition of 40k, particularly about what it means for AOS going forwards. Normally, I have to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning New Zealand time if I want to watch a stream live. Don't normally do it. I did it once or twice and I left disappointed. If I woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning to watch this, I don't think I would have gone away disappointed. I think this was a good, full, chunky reveal stream. Yeah,
it's meaty. And to bring us home, I've got to ask you. So we know we have the new roadmap, and we can see that we have 2 mystery tomes. We have a General's Handbook, obviously Seraphon and Cities announced there on screen. Maybe 2 predictions. What do you think the mystery tome's going to be? And do you have any thoughts or any guesses or maybe some wishes on what that General's Handbook would be focused on? So we've had champions, we've had monsters, we've had troops. What could this new one be about?
For new books, my heart says Chaos Dwarfs. They're cool. I like them. I like a lawful evil army with that fire and industry. My brain says it's probably going to be a redone early book. I think that makes more sense in terms of production capacity for Games Workshop. Is a very boring explanation. If I had to guess what the New General's Handbook would be, I wouldn't be surprised to see it play around with magic. I think there are cavalry is the good pick. a lot of people will say cavalry, and that's what we've seen people suggest. I don't know if it feels as universal to armies. Fire Slayers obviously wouldn't get any benefit from it. Cruel Boys wouldn't really get any benefit from it. Nighthaunt wouldn't get, there's a lot of armies without cavalry, but magic, even though not all armies have magic, it's a lot more universal. So I'd be interested to see what they could do.
I would love back in Fantasy Battles, there was a couple of magical kind of campaigns like the Storm of Chaos, and there was like these arcane fulcrums, and like magic was just on steroids. So I would hope magic is the focus. And as who was it? Someone mentioned in the chat, I'm surprised we haven't seen new endless spells yet. So maybe there's a new incarnate that is magic focused. Maybe there's new endless spells. It feels like money is ready to be printed for Games Workshop. So, and maybe we have, as Hannah said, a bunch of new magical books leading us up about a narrative of, the magic being unwind, or something's happened. I don't know, Seraphon or something. Someone's Teclis has messed up again and triggered some kind of magical storm. And who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they ever began releasing models alongside GHBs, like new endless spells or a new incarnate, things like that.
The book, so if I'm making a stab in the dark as my final prediction, so obviously Feck is coming. I think Feck has to come with the General's Handbook. Like, I'm just going to say that. And then there's a book after it. And if I had to make an educated guess, I think, yes, an early book. Stormcast feels like it hasn't hit the mark. I feel like when you look at some of the things that Matt Rose has mentioned on like the Meta Watch, the percentage of units being used is the internal balance of Stormcast is really off. So I could probably see Stormcast getting a new book. But Daughters of Cain, obviously, people know that they love getting new updated books. But I'll put my money on Stormcast.
All right. Yeah. No, I think that's a wise call. To be different, I'll put it on Auric Warclans. But yeah, I could see a second wave of Cruel Boys happening.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll go with that. Cool.
Small wave, but a wave. Yeah.
Let me know in the comment section what you think it's going to be, because I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. Obviously, there's a lot of predictions and things like that, but you tell us in the comments. If you haven't subscribed and followed Jonathan over on Azir Weekly, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or both of them, link is below for his Twitter handle, absolute 24 karat gold. Go subscribe. Thank you for everyone who joined the stream. It's just a bit of a casual Thursday. It was good fun hanging out, seeing the Warhammer reveals. I'm curious to see more about the Dawnbringer Cities of Sigmar. I have early concerns, but that's more from my aesthetic and my personal preference. I know many of you people who I no longer am friends with are a big fan of the anti-pantaloons, but just know that you will not be coming to my birthday party when my next go around of the sun. All right, great. Jonathan, let's go home. Thanks everyone, and until next time, roll more sixes. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.